Women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
All right.
Who talks about the WNBA? Who talks about women? Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right, we got to go to you guys.
So did you say
You're my guy, but
who does more than
Stephen
us?
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm talking to you about the power that you have.
Okay.
Somebody was, Monica.
Guys,
You making Stephen A's point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A's point.
Please let me do my job. Please let me do my job. We've gone for 40.
Welcome to another edition of the Red Nation Blogger Podcast. I was trying to wait until I could get somebody else's opinion on there because I really wanted to have it back and forth. But I really don't feel like waiting because I'm very passionate for this topic. I'm very ready to talk about this. I've been thinking about it kind of all day, and I couldn't wait to get home and discuss it. The topic at hand, or the person at hand rather, is Caitlin Clark and the coverage of her, everything that's been said or discussed in media, what's been talked about in social media, on all platforms, social media platforms, and everything is just, it's so left and right. It's almost political at this point, and I hate politics. That's one thing that, like, in this world, I just do not do. It's politics. I hate politics because no person can be all left or all right. It is impossible. We are humans, not robots. That's just how I feel. But this conversation, as my hat hits the microphone again, this conversation is political at this point. There are people that are ignoring facts on both sides. There are people ignoring nuance on both sides. There are people not using common sense on both sides. In a conversation that has no common sense and a conversation that is driven by narratives is not a conversation that I want to be a part of. I try my best to be fair, to be equal and even keel. I want to see both sides of the perspectives. I myself am an ambidextrous person. I write with my left hand. I play sports and my predominant hand is right. That's how I am. So when I see topics like this Caitlin Clark thing, it really frustrates me when I see people picking sides. It really, really does. Because it's unnecessary. It's very unnecessary. We could talk about the truths of the subject without exaggerating, without fabricating, and without bringing in any emotion. As much as this is an emotional topic, we can try our best to take the emotion out, or if we do get emotional, to stay within the facts with our emotion. That's the least that I ask for. I say that because of the conversation that happened today on First Take, and it was very volatile. Monica McNutt, you could tell she was very passionate because she has legitimately covered the WNBA. She doesn't talk about the WNBA. She's covered it before and after its popularity. Or I should say during its popularity, its peak and its rise in popularity, she has discussed it. She has covered this sport. So she is a professional and an expert in this field. That being said, you could tell that she got emotional today. And I think that sometimes she felt attacked, maybe because of how Shannon and Stephen A. were coming at her. And this topic in general, I see a lot of women specifically just kind of feeling attacked. And if you make somebody feel attacked, you can't then say, hear you out, or to have your best interest at heart when you try to make a point. Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp's whole thing to me, from what I heard this morning, was Caitlin Clark is the cash cow. These other women shouldn't be jealous of Caitlin Clark. They should in some way embrace her competitively and appreciate the power and the influence that she has over the game, even though they both know themselves that she is not the most deserving or the most talented or the most skilled or whatever the case may be. She's not that at any aspect of the game in the WNBA. But for whatever reason, some people want to say white privilege. Some people want to say white woman privilege. Some people want to say white woman heterosexual privilege. It's so many privileges in this. That's just why I say it's almost political, that people are saying that that's the reason why. And maybe it is a large reason why, but it isn't the only reason. She can really play basketball. She can. She's not the best. As I've said before, Maya Moore and Candace Parker are the two best women basketball players that I have ever seen. Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops. These are all women that I've seen that clear Caitlin Clark pretty easily. Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, to name more, Sabrina, Brianna Stewart. But for some reason, black or white, Caitlin Clark is the one that people have gravitated to. Maybe it's because of where she went to school. Maybe it's because of her NCAA championship run and back-to-back seasons. Who knows? Whatever the case may be, Caitlin Clark is the chosen one. But a lot of people are ignoring things. I reference it in a little bit. It's not a perfect example. The NBA in 2012 already trending to a three-point league, an analytical league. They were already trending on knocking mid-range jumpers out of the game. They were already trending on threes, free throws, layups, or paint points. The NBA has always been trending that way since 2012. No post-ups for guys that aren't really good post-up players, right? Unless you're elite. Steph Curry accelerated that by coming into the game and being the best three-point shooter that the league has ever seen on extremely high volume. He accelerated the three-ball process and the importance of the three-ball exponentially. 2 years, boom, it's here. It's here. You can go back to 2013 and 2014 and still see spacing that you would see in 2008 and 2007. You can go back 11 years ago, 10 years ago and see it. 2015, you no longer saw that. It was an immediate shift, and that was mostly and largely because of Steph Curry. It's the same thing with Caitlin Clark. It's not a perfect example. The WNBA has been on a rise. I watched for the first time since the Comets were in the finals. I watched a WNBA finals game featuring Asia Wilson. I forgot who they played last year. I forgot who they played, forgive me, in the finals. But I watched it for the first time when Becky Hammon had won her championship. That was one of the first times that I had watched a WNBA game, as I said, in almost 20 years. And it was on the rise. You could see the game was rising. But it still wasn't what it was on a college level, on a collegiate level. The first time I heard about Caitlin Clark, I saw videos of her cooking Haley Van Loof in Louisville. That was the first time I heard about Caitlin Clark. That was the first time she came on my radar. And all of a sudden, since that moment, her star has risen. Ever since that point, not only has the women's game reached new heights at the collegiate level, but now that she's in the WNBA, it's risen to she's accelerated the popularity of the WNBA, accelerated. A league that has been financially in the red for a long time, so much so that they needed saving from the NBA, is now talking about league expansion for the first time in who knows how long. I'm not saying that that's because of Caitlin Clark, because the league has been trending that way, but I'm saying she's accelerated the rise of its popularity, the rise of its dialogue. Caitlin Clark is the first WNBA player that I've seen in the history of the sport to have an NBA playoff game moved back a day because she's making her home debut and they need the Pacers arena to fill capacity for all the tickets. I just want one example in the history of the WNBA. This spans probably 40 years when that happened to any player that is significantly, and we know there are players that are significantly better than Caitlin Clark. We know this. When has it happened? I just want an example. Put it in the comment section. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't have no problem being wrong. I'm not an expert in this topic, but I'm just going off of what I know. I'm a sports fanatic. I keep up with this stuff. Caitlin Clark has accelerated popularity of the game. Stephen A. Smith said the WNBA draft on a Monday night had 2.3 or 4, whatever, million viewers for the WNBA draft. When has that ever happened for any player that we all know in the history of the game that is better than Caitlin Clark? For whatever reason you want to throw out there, she's accelerated the process. I'm not saying that the women should get on their hands and knees and be grateful. That is idiotic. Anybody that is out here saying that the women should go soft against her and not compete as hard, not be as physical to her, is ridiculous and shouldn't be listened to. Cash cow or no cash cow. That's ridiculous. And we have examples in the NBA in the 80s that show men held resentment. This isn't a woman thing. Magic Johnson came into the league making more money than vets that were on his team that had proven stuff. You don't think that rubbed them the wrong way? You don't think that those guys in that locker room had things to say about this rookie who came in, who hadn't proved anything, getting all this publicity, getting all this fame, getting all this money? You don't think Larry Bird dealt with that? You don't think Michael Jordan dealt with that? You don't think that there was animosity? We saw Michael Jordan have animosity. We saw the Jordan rules. We saw the NBA change up the rules to help the game grow and to feature Michael Jordan. We saw this. It's historically documented. I don't want that for Caitlin Clark. I don't want them to change the rules of the game to benefit her. I don't want that. And I don't even think that the play by, I'm sorry if I say her name wrong, Kennedy Carter, I don't even think that that play was overtly bad. To me, it looked like Caitlin sold the contact. It looked like Caitlin got pushed, saw who did it, and then embellished it a little bit. To me, that's what it looked like from my point of view, as I hit the mic again. But from my point of view, it looked like Caitlin embellished the contact. I don't think that that play was anything outside of the norm of physical basketball. Caitlin did something probably first, and she retaliated. And in the NBA and in the WNBA, apparently, they always catch the retaliation. They never catch the initiation. They catch the retaliation. So all this kumbaya and let's let these women be friends and respect the cash cow that got y'all on charter flights and y'all no longer flying commercial. That's bullshit. Get that out of here. Compete hard against Caitlin. Be physical against Caitlin. Don't give her an inch. That's what I want to see. I'm not watching Caitlin Clark play to see it be handed to her. I want to see her take it if she's good enough. She has flaws in her game. Anybody that's watched her game, she can only drive right. That's what she's strong driving to. And she can only shoot three. She has no floater. She doesn't play on the inside. These Steph Curry comparisons, I don't know where they came from. The girl is Trae Young. The girl is Damian Lillard. The girl is James Harden. She's more those three than she is close to Steph Curry. Because she's not the shooter that Steph Curry is. Those guys play an analytical brand. Trae Young, Dame, and James Harden. They have analytical spots on the floor where they attack from. That's not Steph Curry. I watch Steph Curry. That's not Steph Curry. But this notion that's going on today on TV is ridiculous. Monica McNutt, she made a very good point on First Take. She said that Stephen A. Smith had 3 years to talk about the WNBA and really hasn't featured it. And that's fair. But I think what's unfair is to come at Stephen A. like that, as if everybody in the media hasn't been ignoring the WNBA for 20 years. Why are we talking about the WNBA so prevalently now? Why are we leading off with an incident on a Monday show 30 minutes after the Justin Jefferson news breaks about him becoming the non-highest paid QB in NFL history and the highest wide receiver in NFL history? But we're talking about an incident, a small incident, in my opinion, that happened on Saturday to one player. Why are we discussing that and leading the show with that? They discussed that topic for 40 minutes without a commercial. Why is that? What player spawned that conversation? See, this is the nuance that gets left out of these conversations. All day on X, all day on Facebook, the conversation has been about this Caitlin Clark shit. And I've said it 100 times over. Toxic conversation, healthy conversation, or otherwise. This is good for the WNBA's brand. It's toxic as hell, but it's good for the WNBA's brand. All publicity is good publicity for a dying business. And now the WNBA, as these conversations continue to grow, as people continue to react about this stuff on YouTube, on social media, or otherwise, people are going to continue to tune in. The average person is going to continue to tune in because everybody wants to be a part of the story. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Why is this such a topic of discussion? It's just the facts of the situation. So I say all that to say, let's leave the political talk out of this. Let's leave the picking sides out of this. This is basketball. We're talking about players. Why do we have to be Crips and Bloods, Republicans and Democrats? Why do we have to do that? There's no need for that, in my opinion. Let's talk basketball. Let's get back to the basics of this shit. Because at the end of the day, that's what this was started around. As always, thank you for watching. Red Nation Blogger, out.